Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and I'm here with my co-host.
Marie.
And in this video, we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite Christmas movies, since it is the season, and it's usually a lot of people's tradition to watch a Christmas movie at Christmas time or Christmas Eve and stuff like that. So I thought this would be a fun video to do. So we're going to start with we're going to save our favorite one for last, so we're going to work backwards from 5 down to 1. So, Marie, I'll let you go first. What is your number 5?
Okay, so my number 5 would be The Polar Express. Because I just feel like it's such a great Christmas spirit kind of movie, because it kind of starts out with the kid. He's like trying to believe in Santa, he's losing that magic like we all do as we get older, right? Everybody hits that age. And then as he goes on the train and he's going to what we later find out is the North Pole, he's kind of introduced to different people in different situations, and he slowly develops his own magic. Like, he finds it again. And I looked it up. That movie came out in 2004.
Oh, okay, 2004. So that is a fairly old movie now.
Yeah, I looked because I couldn't quite remember when it came out, but so yeah, it's just about this kid he's I don't know, he's like every kid hits that age, and then he finds that magical spirit, and I just think it's such a heartwarming movie, and it's done so well. And I'm also a sucker for anything with Tom Hanks in it. So, like, I just think Tom Hanks is a great actor, and he does the voice. Yeah. And even though it's just his voice, he still does a very good job. So.
And my number 5 is Jingle All The Way with Jake Lloyd and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, this is a movie, and this movie's been out since the 90s, but I've only seen this movie for the first time like a few years ago. And I always heard it was a really crappy movie, that it wasn't any good. And I gave it a watch, but I actually really liked it. I thought it was a pretty funny movie. It's really campy and like cheesy and stuff, and my favorite line in the movie is when Phil Hartman, he's always after Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife the whole movie. So Arnold's out hunting for this toy for his son, that he has to have. I think the toy, it's called Ultraman, I think the name of the toy is. And he phones to get hold of his wife, and then Phil Hartman answers the phone, and he's eating Arnold's wife's homemade cookies. And then Arnold gets all mad, and they got that famous line, "Put the cookie down now!" So I really like that movie, and I thought I would hate it. I thought, oh, this is going to be a really cheese fest. It's not going to be any good. But I actually really enjoyed that movie. So what is your number 4?
A number 4 for me, that was really tough. Only because it's a Christmas Carol, but it's the 1984 edition. And the reason it was tough for me was because I like so many versions, so I was trying to narrow it down. I was like, okay, so I kept thinking to myself, like, okay, so which one for sure would I pick? But that one, I think it's just kind of mixed with the nostalgia of the movie. Because that particular version, that came out the year I was born. So I have probably seen that more times than I could count. That was like the Christmas movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, there's a lot of versions of that one. I remember the one that I remember most was an old black and white one that they used to always play on CBC television when I was a kid around Christmas time.
Yeah, I think that one's it came out, I think that one originally came out in like the 60s or something.
Yeah, that's a fairly old one, yeah, but there's a lot of different versions of that.
Yeah, and that's why it was hard for me to kind of narrow it down, because I was like, I didn't want to just say A Christmas Carol. I wanted to okay, if I had to pick which one, which one would I pick? So yeah, it's a classic, right? It's one of those things, like, everybody knows some version of that movie.
Yeah, everyone's familiar with some version of it. So my number 4 is, now this one is always been debated a little bit, whether it's a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie. And it's The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I really like it because I love Halloween. And so I like watching this movie. This is a good transitional movie, something to watch between Christmas and Halloween. And it takes place during Christmas. He goes out on Christmas night. And I just like the look of the movie. Like Tim Burton, it has that total Tim Burton look to it. I think a lot of people think it was directed by Tim Burton, but it was actually just produced by him. It was directed by somebody else. But
Okay.
it has that, definitely has that Tim Burton look with that. I think they call it the German expressionism, where all the buildings have like these extreme slants and stuff like that to them,
Mm-hmm.
and it just looks cool. And I'm not a big fan of musicals, but it's one of the few musicals that I actually enjoy. So that's one that I actually really like that movie.
See, and I'm of the camp that it's not that I don't like the movie. I'm one of those people that I don't consider it a Christmas movie, even though there's Christmas in it.
Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. Because I consider it a Christmas movie. So then we'll move on to number 3. So what's your number 3?
My number 3 would be The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, again, I don't think any Christmas goes by without me watching that either. It's I don't know, it's just kind of hilarious. It's mixed with like humor and then the magic of Christmas kind of thrown in there as well. Like,
yeah.
It's this guy that's this, workaholic, kind of jerky dad, really, if I'm going to be honest. He's not a good dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's very distracted dad. He's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out in a way. But then he becomes Santa Claus, and everyone thinks he's completely nuts. I mean, who wouldn't? If someone told you, oh yeah, I'm Santa Claus, you'd be like, oh, that's cute. But yeah, it's such a cool movie in the sense that you see a lot of character development in him.
Yeah.
In Tim Allen, his character, because he starts out, like I said, like this, like kind of like, business guy, super serious, not super hands-on with his son. And then he turns into literally like Father Christmas. He's, he gets the big belly, the beard, and he ho, 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 like all of it. It's just, I don't know. It's definitely like a must watch for me.
Yeah. And that's one that me and we've watched that one together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that wasn't too bad. I didn't mind that one. And my number 3 is Gremlins. So this was like one of my favorite movies as a child, and I saw this in the theaters way back in 1984 when it came out. And it's I don't know if people really classify it as a Christmas movie just because it takes place at Christmas, but I always thought of it as a Christmas movie, and I've watched it quite a few times over the years. I haven't watched it now in the last few recent years, but I think this is another one that me and you have watched together. I think I
believe so. Yeah, because I remember you bringing it up to me, and I think I'd watched it, but I'd never really it had been a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think it was at least a few years ago that we watched it together, and I believe it was around Christmas as well.
Yeah, and it's a pretty dark Christmas movie, and the movie was originally supposed to be a lot darker. It was actually going to be a straight up horror movie that took place during Christmas, but they kind of dialed it back and made it more like a family movie, more of a comedy. And it came out during the summer in '84, but it was actually supposed to come out at Christmas time, but there was a lot of competition going on in the summer, and the studio that made Gremlins, they didn't have a movie to go up against any of them, so then they changed the release date and moved it to the summer instead of Christmas. That movie. Yeah, so that's my number 3 is Gremlins. So now on to number 2. What is your second favorite Christmas movie?
That would definitely be Home Alone. Again, I think that's one that everybody's watched, or most people.
I think most people have seen that movie. That's pretty
that
iconic.
Movie. I believe I just read recently that movie's 30 years old now.
Really? 30 years old already?
Yeah, that made me feel really old. I was like, wait, what? No. But yeah, no, it's just because it's such a funny, kind of crazy movie, right? Yeah. And it's again, to me, like, it's such a Christmas classic. There's parts of it where you're kind of rooting for Kevin, and then there's other parts where you're like, you're such a little brat. No wonder your family didn't even notice. They must have noticed the peace and quiet, maybe. I don't know. But it's such a great movie.
It is. It's another one that a lot of people have seen too. I don't think there's too many people who haven't seen Home Alone, because I've seen it. I saw it like years ago, and then me and you watched it together
a few times. I'd say
a few times, yeah. And it's the movie that made Macaulay Culkin like a huge star.
Yeah,
really put him on the map.
I think he actually did a thing on one of his social medias where he like mimicked scenes of it recently, and
Yeah, I
it
think
was
he did.
pretty
Yeah,
funny.
I think he did. Yeah, yeah. So let's go on to number 2. Or no, yeah, we're on number 2 now. Screwed
Yeah,
up.
we're on number 2. So what's your number 2?
So my number 2, my second favorite Christmas movie of all time. Now this is a movie that no one thinks of as a Christmas movie because there's 2 kinds of movies. There's movies that are about Christmas, and there's movies that aren't about Christmas, but they take place, they're set during Christmas. And that's one of these movies. It's not about Christmas, but it's set during Christmas. And it's Batman Returns. So this is a movie that the last few years, there for a while, for quite a few years in a row, I would watch this every Christmas Eve, this movie. And this is one of the movies that, when it originally came out, a couple things about it threw me off. One, I didn't think it was nearly as good as the first Batman movie. And when I originally seen it, I saw it in theaters in '92 in the summer. I didn't like it. I was really disappointed with it. I didn't think it was nearly as good as the first one. And the other thing that threw me off, it was like set in winter time. It was in Christmas, but they released it during the summer. So I found that kind of off-putting. Like I think I would have received it better if I had seen it during Christmas time.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like the movie at all. But over the years, after rewatching it, I've kind of flipped on this movie, where I actually now like it. I still realize it's a lot of stuff wrong with the movie and it's really cheesy and stuff, but it's kind of become like a guilty pleasure. It's kind of become one of my go-to movies I watch during Christmas. But it's one of those movies that technically it's not a Christmas movie, but it's just set during Christmas. But I kind of count it as a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's go to number 1. What is your number 1 favorite Christmas movie?
Well, this one you definitely know. It's the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. For me, it's not Christmas unless I watch that one. So by the way, we're watching it on Christmas Eve. It's just such a great classic movie, like it is. It's like, it seems like I'm noticing a theme amongst myself here where a lot of my movies are like funny Christmas movies, but, I don't know. It's such a crazy movie. And, I'm determined that one day I'm going to have my house look like his over the top crazy Christmas person. Maybe not blinding my neighbors bright, but but yeah, it's a classic. And I feel like that's another movie, but I feel like there's probably not that many people that haven't heard of that movie.
No, there isn't.
Because that one's been around. Again, that's another one that's been around a long time.
It has been around a long time, yeah.
I don't quite remember when it came out, but...
Yeah, it came out in the 80s, but I don't know what year specifically.
Yeah, I was thinking like late 80s maybe, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, it's fantastic.
Because I remember when the first time I seen it, I was pretty young. And I seen it like a few times over the years, and then me and you have watched it together like I think a couple times now.
Yeah. Yeah, I torture you with all my Christmas movies.
But this is another one this is another one that a lot of people, this is their favorite Christmas movie, is Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, it's such a great movie.
A lot of people's top 5. Now, my number 1 favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard with Bruce Willis. Now, this is another movie that no one considered a Christmas movie. And it kind of became a Christmas movie over the last so many years, but originally it wasn't marketed as a Christmas movie. It was just an action film that just happened to take place during Christmas. But as time went on, people started to say, well, no, this is actually a Christmas movie. And there was a debate there for quite a while where people were saying, no, it's not a Christmas movie, and then people are saying it is. Mm-hmm. And then now the rights holders of the film have just completely leaned right into it being a Christmas movie. Now they market it as a Christmas movie. They've even got the Die Hard Christmas storybook. They got Die Hard Christmas ornaments, Die Hard ugly Christmas sweaters, all that stuff. And even
it's everywhere.
The DVD I bought, the cover is done in like a Christmas sweater.
And that's great. I remember that.
Yeah, and it's got so many memorable lines in this movie. And, the villain is, just iconic and classic. It's just and just on top of that, it's just a great action movie. And it's easily the best of Die Hards. I've seen all the Die Hards, but A lot of them I don't like. I really only like the first one. The second one's not too bad, but I really like the first one's my favorite one, and that's the one that I always watch. So yeah, so that's our top 5 favorite Christmas movies. So any final thoughts, Marie?
No, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope everyone has a good Christmas and a safe Christmas. And so I guess we'll just wrap things up right there. So let me know in the comment section what's some of your favorite Christmas movies. Do you even like Christmas movies? If you do, what's your all-time favorite one? So that's everything we got to say in this video. Let us know what you think in the comment section, and we will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.